Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you guys about a very important phrase that has come out of the frames and receiver victory, right? The judge in that case pointed out that what something is not the same as what something might become. Okay, so if you have a block of aluminum or a piece of plastic, okay, that is capable of becoming, of potentially becoming a receiver, it does not mean that it is a receiver, okay? Which is the same as if you look at a stone, right? Perhaps if you start chipping away at that stone, it might become a work of art. However, it's a stone until you actually turn it into a sculpture, okay? The reason for this video is not so much to talk about the victory in the frames and receivers case, but to talk about the auto key card case for which Matthew Hoover and Justin Irving are sitting in jail right now, okay? So that is exactly the same concept, right? You've got a piece of metal with a drawing on it that the government asserted that this might become a machine gun part, okay? Which again is different than it is a machine gun part, okay? So I think that this is something that people need to be screaming from the roofs about, okay? This is now July 2nd. July 4th is 2 days away, and the fact that Matthew Hoover and Justin Irving are sitting in jail for nothing, okay, while Hunter Biden is free, really bothers me. Okay, it bothers me a lot, and it kind of bothers me that that politicians, other legal people, even the gun community as a whole, is not screaming from the roofs with regards to this injustice. Okay, that doesn't, it really bothers me. Okay, now, it actually, one of the things that I feel like doing is making a video every day highlighting this injustice. However, I realize that that probably would get old after a while. So I think that I can be a lot more effective in highlighting this injustice in doing a video every so often to bring attention to that. I just think that's going to be a lot more effective than me doing the thing that's in my heart, which is to make a video about this injustice every single day. But I thought that this July 4th, this is definitely a good time to do a video on this subject, and just realize that on July 4th we celebrate Independence Day, basically the day that the colonists here in Northern America fought back against tyranny, okay? And 240 years later, that's kind of what we've reverted back to. This is the type of government that the founding fathers would have fought against, and in fact many of them were fearful of the ratification of the Constitution because they feared that it would turn tyrannical over time, and they were correct. It has, okay. And when you look at the current situation, don't just say, hey, we're here and it stops here. Think of it as a continuing progression. Where's it going to be 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, if it continues to follow this pattern, okay? This country is already unrecognizable from the government that was originally set up, and it's scary to think what it is going to become, at this continuing rate of progression. And on the political side, you got the Democrats, which are hardcore socialist leftists, And then you got the Republicans, which are kind of like Democrat light. So it seems to me like that most Republicans are just slowing down the process. They're nowhere near, you know, the point where they can stop it or start to reverse it. All the same, I think that, if that's all we have going for us at the moment, use it, okay? If we can at least slow it down, all right? If we can use the Republicans to slow down this progression towards outright and total tyranny, at least if we can slow it down, then at some point in the future, we might be better positioned to do something about this. Right now, the only thing that we really have going for us is, we got like maybe a handful of Republicans, mostly in the House, the Freedom Caucus, and then we've got the Supreme Court, okay, which is, I mean, even the conservative justices are not like total, complete, independent conservatives. They're still, pro-government, okay? Because ultimately, it seems to me like when I look at the Supreme Court, they're more interested in preserving the separation of powers, which basically means they're preserving their own power rather than preserving the power of the people. Now, in many cases, they do rule in favor of the people, but what I think that they're really doing is they're ruling in favor of the people just to keep power away from the executive branch. So by helping the people, they're really trying to help themselves, because they're afraid if the executive power, if the executive branch continues to gain more power, they're losing power. So I think that that's the only reason why the Supreme Court has been sort of ruling in favor of individual rights, not so much for the benefit of the people, but for the benefit of them preserving their own power. And I definitely don't think that they would give up any of their own power, for example, to empower the people more. Okay, so, but anyway, again, we have to use whatever we have. A famous saying, that was said by some general is that you don't go to war with the army that you wish you had. You go to war with the army that you have. Okay, so right now we have to look at the tools that we have available to us to defend our freedom, defend our liberty, and we have to work with them. And what that is we've got a handful of Republicans who, and then we got the, who are strong, right? But then you got like the rest of the Republican Party, which is weak, but still, we still got to utilize them as best as we can. I mean, they may not be the best ammunition that we have, but they're still ammunition. We got to use them as best as we can. And the same deal with the Supreme Court. Okay, we got to use them the best that we can to slow down this degradation, right? To slow down the march towards tyranny. So again, you got to use the tools that you have available. What we cannot even contemplate doing is some type of revolt or revolution. I'm telling you guys, we would lose that. If you look at the tyrants, I mean, they've got the military, but it's not just the military. They've also got the CIA, FBI, all the other bureaucracies, IRS working for them. So the tyrants have the full, almost the full united, the full united military and bureaucracy behind them. Okay, long term, what I think that we need to work on, and the Republicans are kind of working towards that goal, is we got to get these different bureaucracies in the military to start fighting amongst themselves and exposing, all the fraud and all the corruption. That's how we're going to break them down, right? So we're not going to fight them directly. We have to get them to fight each other. Okay, that's the only way that we can possibly beat them. A lot of times I hear people that, well, we got to take arms like the founding fathers did 240 years ago. Remember, they were fighting a government that was on the other side of the planet, okay? And that government on the other side of the planet didn't have the communications control that this government has today. So that's not how we can preserve liberty. Okay? We have to preserve liberty by using the tools that we have available to us, right? And the tools that we have available to us are the Freedom Caucus, the Supreme Court. Okay, and keeping in mind that the Supreme Court is like really a temporary thing. The Democrats are pretty much hoping that the conservative constitutionalist justices are going to die off and they're going to replace them. Okay, so it's kind of like a race to try and get as much done to try and take control of the Senate before that happens. Okay, because Republicans are not really good at winning elections. Okay, now granted, the Democrats cheat; they do all sorts of dirty stuff, but the Republicans haven't figured out a way to counter that. Okay, so this is kind of like the Independence Day report. Okay, of this is where we are right now. Okay, we've got to keep fighting for freedom. The situation with Matt Hoover, Justin Irving, I don't think anything better highlights the situation in this country, right? Where we are, how liberty has been trampled, how innocent people are being basically framed and put in jail over nothing, right? A drawing on a piece of metal. And that's also an indication to the extent that the government will go to basically falsify evidence and get people convicted over nothing. I mean, they can come here and they can say that this table here is a machine gun, right? And put me in jail for that, right? That's kind of where we're at with this, okay? So hang in there, do the best that you can, and the best thing we can do is just try to stay vocal and try to bring attention to injustice where we see it. And right now, the greatest injustice that I see is the situation with Matthew Hoover and Justice Irving and how they're being kept in jail over nothing. And you would think that, first of all, this judge, right, who I believe was a Bush appointee, would have seen the injustice and tried to help these guys out. I mean, there are tools available to this judge to try to help these guys out. She could have easily pointed to the situation, especially now, where we have the frames and receivers rule that came, not frames and receivers. What's the word I'm looking for? Victory that we have. She could easily point to that and say, hey, in that case, the judge said that what something is different from what it might become. Therefore, a piece of metal, a drawing of a piece of metal, a drawing of a machine gun part on the piece of metal is not a machine gun. She could easily point to that. The judges at the appeals court level could also step up. And they have, these people talk to themselves, talk amongst each other. There's things that they can do to help these guys out. I haven't heard any politicians talk about this. I did a video about Ron DeSantis, who's running for president. This is something that he should speak up against. Even if he can't do anything himself, he can still bring attention to this and point out the injustice. So anyway, I wanted to do the video just reminding everyone that this situation still exists. Yes, it's Independence Day. It's Independence Week, basically. 4th of July is this Tuesday. But you still got two good men sitting in jail over nothing, over a drawing on a piece of metal that the government says is a machine gun, and even when they cut it out, they couldn't get it to work, without cutting outside the lines. And even at that point, all they managed to do was get the gun to jam up. So, anyway, as you guys know, I don't monetize this channel, so try to spread this information. Try to go to other channels that get a lot more views, and remind people about this, and get those. Hopefully, those other channels will start making videos on this subject, and they'll start getting some more attention. Okay, so. In any case, those of you that are at home this weekend, have a happy 4th of July weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon.